Hello y'all, welcome. Here is a video on the dreams talk, which is a talk that you would have with someone before being sexual or romantic to see if you're compatible, to really get on the same page and to create any boundaries or agreements with each other. And I really want to share this because it's been such a game changer for me as far as being in romance and relationships with people and causing a lot less harm and hurt and being more ethical and being a lot less hurt myself. And relationships are really messy and people come with all their trauma and their wounding, and it can be really easy to hurt someone. So I think that this is really helpful in minimizing that. My friend says that she won't even kiss someone before having this talk, and I sort of agree with that. It takes about 20 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on how in-depth you want to go, and my friend said that she's done it in as little time as 5 minutes, which I haven't. But this is an abbreviation, DREAMS, that stands for desire, relationships, emotions, aftercare, meaning, and safety. And it's a document or a PDF that you go through with someone, and each of them has about 5 questions of its own. And you start with D and you answer the 5 questions, and then the other person answers, and you see if you're aligned, and if so, you move on to the R and so on, and see if you're compatible with each other. There's other talks like it, like ITSTA, International School of Temple Arts. They have RBDSM, similar talk that you would have with someone. There's Spread, there's Stars that I've heard of. But Dreams comes from my friends Bez Stone and Freya Dietrich, who are sex and relationship coaches and have the Infinite Relating podcast that you can find on Spotify that I highly recommend. It really helped me get super aware of all the nuances in relationships and to be a lot more ethical and, have a relationship that's more conscious in this kind of new age, conscious culture. They also have a website, infiniterelating.love, where you can find more of their content, and I think this PDF is on their website of the Dreams Talk. And if you go on their podcast, I think it's like podcast 4 towards the beginning. It's called Dreams, and they spend an hour and they really go through all of this and explain it. I'm going to try and do that in a little bit less time here just to make it more easy and accessible. And just to name too, they have their PDF of Dreams, and I actually created it into a document myself where I got rid of some things and added some things just so that it fit my life and worked better for me. So we'll dive into it now, starting with D, desire. And again, one person would answer these questions and then the other person can answer them. And then you can see if you're aligned and move on to the next one if so. So D, desire. What do you want? And with this person or with this relationship or this encounter? And I always like to say that I don't know is a really great answer. And this one's, it can be short, but I feel like maybe the most important. Relationships. This one takes a long time. I found there's a lot of content in there. So starting relationship style. Are you polyamorous, monogamous? Are you in an open relationship? Are you openly relating, etc.? Sexual orientation, straight, gay, bisexual, pansexual. What other relationships are you currently in? Privacy and PDA, or public display of affection. When I was at a community in Portugal called Tamara, where they have the love school, they're super sex positive. They believed in what they call deprivatization, where they make nothing private and everything's really out there in the open. Are you like that, where you don't need any privacy? Or do you need full privacy? I've had people tell me, I want this to be completely private. I don't want anyone to know about it. So those are kind of like the two ends of the spectrum. And of course, it can be somewhere in between there. And I'm okay with you sharing about us to close friends one-on-one. And I don't want you to share in a big sharing circle with all of our community, or I'm okay with you doing that. So yeah, getting really clear on what is allowed to be shared. And for example, what I have said sometimes, is I trust your discernment to know what is okay to share with others. Like if I share something really deep and sensitive, I kind of trust your discernment and your judgment to not tell that to other people. Again, that leaves a lot of gray area where people could be very hurt, and I also am sort of okay with that, and I'm saying that knowing that I'm okay with that. And I'll tell them, if I share something that's very personal and I don't want you to share it, I'll tell you in that moment. Can you keep this confidential? Or hey, what happened between us the other day? Can you please keep it confidential? I don't want people to know about that. So getting really clear about privacy and what is allowed to be shared and what you don't want shared. In PDA, public display of affection. When I was at Tamara, again, super sex positive, people are showing affection all over the place and kissing and making out and cuddling. And are you okay with that? Are you not wanting to show any of that? Are you okay with a kiss? Are you okay with a hug? I remember I was sitting next to someone that I was romantic with at the time in a public setting with our friends, and I wanted to get closer to them and I wanted to cuddle them and put my head on their shoulder, and I didn't really know if they were okay with that. So then later, after, I told them, hey, I was actually wanting to do this in that moment. Would you have been okay with that? What exactly are you okay with me doing? So yeah, getting really clear again with public display of affection. What do you want to know as far as the other person's activity? So if you are, say, openly relating in a polyamorous relationship and your partner is with someone else, what do you want to know? I know people that wouldn't want to know anything. They're like, yeah, I'm okay with you being with others and I don't want to know anything. And really trusting and honoring your partner's decision and what they decide here. I've had people say, yeah, I'm okay with you being with others and I don't want to know anything. And then, I went and I had sex with someone else, and then I created the story, and I got the sense, I think that the first person would be upset if they knew. And so I went to them and I told them, and they said, look, I told you that I didn't want to know, and why are you telling me? And you're not honoring my decision, and you're actually breaking our agreement by telling me. And maybe, so what I like to tell people too is, I would want to know if you're physically sexual or romantic with someone, including a kiss. I don't want to know if you went on a date with someone. I don't want to know if you are attracted to someone or actively pursuing someone. Only if you're physical. So that's one example, and just getting really clear on if your partner's with someone else, what would you want to know? And next, when and how would you want to know that information? So maybe, your partner has sex with someone. Would you want them to call you immediately? Would you want to know in person? Would you want it to be a call? Would you want it to be a text, a voice note? And when would you want to know that? Like, for example, okay, I had sex with someone new and I have a date tomorrow with my previous partner and we were planning to go to the beach. Would you want me to call you that night when we're going to hang out tomorrow? Do you want me to wait until the next day before I'm coming over? Do you want me to tell you when I come over? Do you want me to tell you immediately when I come over? So, it doesn't have to be this specific and nuanced, but I really like to do that, and I feel that it can really, again, minimize lots of harm and hurt, and being like, look, these were our agreements, and this is what you said that you wanted, and honoring that. Are you okay with your partner being sexual with someone else in the same day? So maybe, your partner has another partner. Are you okay with them being sexual with them in the same day that they're sexual with you? Are you okay with them being sexual the day before? Maybe the agreement is that, look, that we're hanging out tomorrow, so I wouldn't want you to be sexual with them the night before. Or maybe you had sex with them today, and I just want you to tell me, and I get to make the decision in that moment. So yeah, many options. And just, yeah, if you have any other agreements or boundaries that want to be named in this category, it's a big one. And I've had people say, like, doesn't this kind of rob the juice and the fire and the spontaneity of like being in a relationship and allowing things to flow? And I would say yes, sort of. And I see that it, again, minimizes and decreases the amount of hurt and harm so much that for me, it's totally worth it. And actually, I find that it's kind of hot to have a conscious communication with someone like this and be able to talk about these things. And I find that I learn so much about myself every single time, and I learn so much about my partner. So I definitely would not trade it. Okay, next, emotions. Are you looking for an emotional connection, a sexual one, or both? What are your emotional needs or desires? You could talk about love languages here. So for those who don't know, love languages, these are things that when people do them to you, you feel loved by them. There's 5 of them. It's touch, words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, and gifts. And so this could be good to know about your partner, like my love languages are touch and words of affirmation. Okay, great. Now I can give those to you so that you feel loved by me and cared for and safe. You can go into attachment styles here. Obviously it's going to be different with different people, and maybe this is someone new and you don't really know, and you could dive into this if you'd like at this part. And I've been anxious in this scenario, and this is really what I needed at that time, or I've been avoidant or secure. Yeah, just the option there. Next is aftercare. What specific aftercare do you need after a sexual encounter? So this could be snuggles, phone calls, etc. Which is actually funny. I was talking to someone the other day about the difference between cuddles and snuggles, and they were saying that cuddles are more platonic and snuggles are more like sexual, romantic. I don't know if that's true. But yeah, what specific aftercare do you need after a sexual encounter? And this could be the first encounter that you have with them, or this could be like, in general, this is what I need or I don't need. Yeah, so it could be, I need a phone call the next day. I need to talk to you in person the next day. I need to sleep over. I need to be snuggled. I need to have a sharing after. I need to be held. I don't need any of those things. I think getting like very specific, especially about the first encounter, and being like, I need to talk to you over the phone, on the phone. It can't be a text, and it's got to be before 6 o'clock tomorrow, because my friend talks about this in the podcast too. If you don't get very specific, then it leaves a lot of gray area, and can, people can start writing stories and getting hurt. So being very specific if possible. And again, you can go into the general of like, yeah, in general, I do like snuggles, and I do like cuddles, and I like sharing, and I like, tantra and all those things. And sometimes I really don't need that, and I can have a quickie behind the tree or in the car or at the beach or whatever, and I can go about my day right after and go into the meeting right after. So, there's this wide spectrum, and it can always be different. All right, next is meaning. What would it mean to have this sexual experience with each other? And I really love this topic of meaning, because, there's meaning. We subconsciously and consciously write stories all the time and put meaning onto everything. This person talked to me, or they talked to me in a certain way, or we hugged, or we hung out, or we went on a date, and we kissed, we had sex, we danced in this certain way. What does this mean? And you create all these stories. So this is where we can get really clear about what does this mean. And I think like what my friend says is that, one person can have sex with someone for the first time, and for them it's like, that this means that we are partners now. And for the other person, it's like, it doesn't mean anything at all. So getting really clear on that. How might this affect your existing relationship with this person? How might it affect your other relationships? Maybe you have a primary partner already. Is it going to affect your relationship with them? Talking about that. Or do you have mutual friends? Is that going to affect, your relationship with your mutual friends that you have? Next, safety or sexual health. Shared dates of last testing, results, and risky behaviors since tests. Sure, known relevant STIs. And my friend here puts the word relevant because, there's some STIs, I think, like HSV2, herpes, genital herpes, that I don't know too much about, but I know that when it's very dormant and taken care of, that it's actually like you can't even, it's not contagious. And so in that case, it's like it's not actually really relevant to tell someone. I don't know really the answer here, so I just share that because that has been talked about by people. Safe sex practices. Do you use condoms? When do you use condoms? When do you not use condoms? Are you on contraceptives, birth control? What to do in case of pregnancy? Would you get an abortion? Do you not know? Would you support the person if that happened? What would that look like? And then if you want, you can talk too about do you want kids in general? What would you need to to feel safe to have kids? Or I don't know. The subject of kids can come up. And so that's about it. That's the dreams talk. Again, desires, relationships, emotions, aftercare, meaning, and safety. And I just want to say too that, you don't necessarily have to go through all of these with someone. Maybe you just want to have sex with someone and you're like, look, here is this dreams talk that we could have. And I don't really think it's that necessary right now. I do think it's necessary to talk about the S of sexual health and safety. So let's do that and skip all the others. So, it's up to you to discern. Also, this talk, you don't have to have it all at once. Maybe it takes a long time and you want to have and talk, we talk 20 minutes here and 30 minutes there, and then we finish it with 10 minutes another time. And last thing is that, you can come back to this talk an infinite amount of times, and that, maybe we have it when we are first meeting each other in romantic, and then we have it, 2 months down the line and 6 months and so on. Also, you can come back and have the whole talk again, or just parts of it. Like maybe the D, desires, what I'm desiring is really changing, so I'm just going to talk about that and come back to that. Or maybe one of the agreements of privacy has changed, and look, I'm actually okay with you sharing about us to people now. That has changed. So just coming back to that one agreement and not having to go over the whole thing again. So just to credit my friends Bez Stone and Freya Dietrich and the Infinite Relating podcast on Spotify, and this coming from them, and sending you and them love, and thanks for listening. Bye.